Hi, this is Tim from timwriting.com. Today's video is going to go over something with change data capture. I've recently started encountering customers using change data capture, and one of them recently, when they wanted to do a restore of their production database to a lower environment, wanted the data from their change data capture tables to be in the lower environment. My first time coming across that, and did not realize that when you do a full backup and a full restore, change data capture tables are not there. So let's take a look. So I'm going to start and create a database called CDC test. And I'm just using SQL Server 2022 Developer Edition. We'll switch over to the CDC test database. I'm going to create a table called noise with 4 columns. I'm going to create a primary clustered key, change database owner to SA, and now I'm going to enable change data capture for this database. Now, before I do that, if I refresh and look at the CDC test database, look at tables, I can see my table noise. Look at system tables, nothing's there. So let's enable change data capture for my CDC test database. I can now refresh tables, look at system tables, and we have quite a few in there for tracking the change data. Now, let's just, for fun, we're going to insert 10 records. I'm going to enable change data capture for my table called noise. All right, now let's insert 10 more records. And what I want to point out here is when I select star from noise, we have 20 records because I inserted 10. Then I enabled change data capture for that table, and then I inserted 10 more records. Now, if we look at the system tables, we'll refresh. We can now see cdc.dbo_noise_CT. That is my tracking table. So if we query it, we can see the 10 records that were inserted after enabling CDC for that table. All right. I'm going to make a change here because I ran through this. I want to overwrite this backup. So I'm going to back up my database, CDC test, so that we can then restore it. So I'm going to restore my CDC_test database as test_restore. So let's do that. Now we're going to query CDC test restore. The noise table, we have our 20 records. We're going to try to query the CDC table, and it does not exist. How do you restore that? So let's refresh databases. We look at test restore. We look at tables. We look at system tables. There's none there. We have to use this syntax called with keep_CDC. So this will tell the restore to persist or to restore those CDC tables. So we do that. Now we can still see we have our 20 records. We take a look at the _restore CDC table, we have those 10 records. I've been doing restores for going on 3 decades. Never knew this underscore or this with keep_CDC. Now the good news is I've never had to use it, but when this came up the other day, I was like, well, how do you restore and keep the CDC? There was just a handful of references to this in some Q&A sites. And so I started going through the Microsoft Learn restore syntax commands and found the keep CDC. So now I know. And now, since you've listened to this video, you know as well.